This clear image of a single, massive pillar supporting an intricate, fragile canopy represents the daily reality for many families. It is the heavy weight of the question underlying every critical decision made by a parent of a child with complex needs. What happens to the structure when that central pillar can no longer provide care? The clinical literature calls this specific phenomenon anticipatory grief. It is the exhaustion of mourning a future transition while simultaneously managing the heavy daily demands of the present. Standard legal advice for parents carrying this heavy weight focuses almost exclusively on the paperwork layer, hiring attorneys to lock in the future through trusts and guardianship. Establishing legal authority is necessary, but treating these documents as a finish line creates an illusion of preparedness. The traditional legal transfer covers the basics: special needs trusts, powers of attorney, and finalized guardianship designations. These documents ensure that during a crisis, the bank allows a successor to pay the mortgage, and the hospital accepts their medical decisions. They transfer authority, but they do not transfer the practical capability required to manage a life. Legal authority drops into place as a single, solid block. Operational context is represented by thousands of tiny, floating data points paperwork cannot capture. Legal transfers are absolute, but operational transfers hold decades of lived context, medication timelines, specialist relationships, and subtle behavioral triggers. When a successor takes over armed only with legal authority and a medical chart, they are essentially starting from zero. Operational knowledge is distinct from a formal medical diagnosis. While a diagnosis provides a label, operational knowledge is the invisible intelligence that sustains daily life. It is knowing why a medication was abandoned years ago despite a doctor's recommendation. It is the ability to translate a slight shift in posture to distinguish between physical pain and a simple preference. Standard medical charts fail to capture this intelligence. They record clinical outcomes, not the trial and error routines that keep a household functioning. This network map shows the primary caregiver as a single, glowing central node. They act as the sole router for every data stream, medical, financial, and behavioral, with no backup pathways for the information to follow. This structure turns the parent into a highly competent, yet highly vulnerable single point of failure. Keeping 30 years of context internalized in one person's memory creates a massive risk to the child's continuity of care. Securing the system requires de-siloing, moving data into a shared workspace. The central node duplicates its data to a new hub, allowing caregivers to plug in independently. This audit forces a structural cleanup, identifying outdated routines and redundant assumptions piled up over years. It also provides the relief. Converting internalized knowledge into shareable data allows an aide or sibling to handle tasks without requiring a multi-hour briefing from the parent. This workspace provides the structural support required for a caregiver to rest today while serving as the contingency plan for the future. Documenting 30 years of intensive care is a massive psychological hurdle. The sheer volume of information can feel impossible to organize. The goal of this workspace is not to perfectly replicate the parent's brain, but to build a foundational safety net. As this blueprint suggests, you are building a framework, not a clone. Centralizing this information also manages family dynamics. While siblings often want to help, their proximity and capacity vary, which can lead to friction. Using read-only access allows out-of-town siblings to stay informed and ask relevant questions. The caregiving effort becomes visible and accountable, without the parent acting as a daily broadcaster. Addressing the operational transfer directly targets the root of anticipatory grief. It replaces the paralyzing fear of a sudden transition with a clear roadmap. Documenting this knowledge moves the caregiving logic out of a parent's internal worry and into an organized structure that exists independently of them. Effective succession planning couples legal authority with operational instruction. It ensures that on day one of a transition, the next caregiver is authorized to act and equipped with the specific knowledge of how to do it.